Welcome back to Epic Exchanges. And now that we have gone through our own book launch, I'm excited to start welcoming some other new people back to the podcast. And today I'm welcoming Debbie Crouch from the UK. And Debbie, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Of course, my name's Debbie, and I'm based in a little countryside called Hoyland Swain in Sheffield, in Yorkshire, in the United Kingdom. And it's a beautiful place filled with lots of countryside around, which is where I get my inspiration. And I love everything creative and art related.
Perfect. Well, on that note, why don't you just jump in and share your story? Because its focuses on being creative and is art related. So go for it.
Of course, yeah. Well, it all began really, I guess. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Stories are always good from the beginning. I can remember being a child and I was always with a colouring book, paper, pens. I just loved to draw. I just loved to colour in. And that stayed with me all through junior school. I can remember one particular teacher who was like a mentor, really. And she was lovely because I used to write stories and colour in pictures to go with the stories. And I wouldn't share them with anybody else except for this one teacher. And she gave me such lovely feedback and encouragement that I felt that I was doing something that I really enjoyed to do. Unfortunately, things didn't quite stay the same when I went to secondary school. Because although we did have art-related activities, from making collages and painting, tie-dyeing, lots of different activities, one particular day, a teacher turned round to me and said, "Debbie, I don't know why you're doing art, because you'll never be any good at it." And this absolutely floored me, as you can imagine. It made me feel insignificant. It made me feel stupid, that I wasn't allowed to do what I really wanted to do, and that this teacher was an adult. They knew all about the world and everything out there. And if they didn't think that I was any good at art, they must be right. But I was so shamed by this experience, I didn't tell anyone about it. Because I think as a child, you tend to hold things inside. Well, I certainly did, because my childhood was filled with, I was very much an introvert, I guess. And I was quite quiet and quite shy and prone to being bullied. Because I think if you're a kind person, you are a target for people to take advantage of you. So I tend to be nice and want to do things for people, but they took advantage of my good nature. So from being bullied all the way through school, it left me with a sense of that I was different, that I didn't fit in, that I couldn't find the place that I wanted to be. So I guess all that was a very difficult time in my life. And I didn't really appreciate it until adulthood, just how traumatic different things had gone during that time. And although I only really got into creativity after that, when my daughter was born, because I truly believe that you should let children explore and develop what they really love to do. And I could see that she had a natural ability to want to colour and draw, just like I did when I was a child. So we used to do things together, like go and collect leaves in the garden and make pictures, or we would paint and draw together and make cards. But I was more doing it for her than I was really for myself. Because I think as an adult, I was very much a people pleaser, where I felt that whatever I wanted to do wasn't important. I wasn't allowed to have my own hobbies or my own thoughts. It was much more important to make everybody else happy. And if I could make other people happy, then they would love and accept me and want and make me happy. And that, I know it's a very twisted way of thinking, but that is how my mind sort of worked. And the only thing with that is that you lose yourself along the way. You don't really identify who you are as a person, the things that you want to do in life, the things that you enjoy. And although having a child was a really beautiful moment in my life, I put all of my energies into being able to give my daughter everything that I was able to, for her to have a nice life, enjoy her creativity. She used to do creativity at school. And even when she went to secondary school, she was allowed to do textiles and painting and drawing. And she excelled at it because it was different for her. She had teachers that believed in what she could do. And it made me see a different side, I guess. And going back to when I got back into creativity, it was after I'd had my own mental breakdown. And it was in a time where I'd gone through a divorce, I'd had time on my own, I'd had the chance to learn to love myself and find out more about who I was and what I wanted in life. I'd met somebody new. I'd started a new relationship, moved to a new area, was really happy, got remarried, and I thought I had everything in my life that I wanted, and I couldn't understand why I had this breakdown. But somebody explained it to me as being, it's like all of your energies that are around you, you use so much of your energy to keep things inside and to balance yourself, to try and keep yourself going, that all of a sudden I didn't have to expel that energy on other people. And it then, because of that, it made me go into a downward circle. But I just wanted to say that from the sense of how I felt, because I felt that I didn't have any confidence. I couldn't work anymore. I didn't have any value in life. I just didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do anymore, other than the fact that I didn't want to be where I was. I was lucky enough in the sense that I went to a recovery college. And in the recovery college, we went to various different workshops. There was like learning to tell your story and various other learning about confidence and learning more about the fact that mental health is an illness and that it's nothing to be afraid of. And it's learning to accept it. And that was really powerful. But I guess one of the next big movements for me was when I went to an adult learn to draw and paint class. And this was a big step for me at the time, because I went from being not wanting to be around other people, not wanting to be out and about, to walking into a class of people that I didn't know. But yet the tutor made us feel so comfortable and so accepted. And learning to draw and paint that supports your well-being really did change my life. I met my best friend there, who was going through a similar situation. And to see our confidence grow over time, to be throwing paint around, to be having a go at doing art, that there wasn't any rules, there wasn't any regulations. You could be yourself. You could express your emotions. It was so life-changing. It was one of the best things that I could have personally done for myself. At the end of the course, when I started to feel better and I started to feel more confident, to understand what it was that I wanted to do, I really wanted to share this with other people. Because if I could go through that situation, I wanted to share that with others, to say, there is another life out there. There is a way to be well. There is a way to express yourself through simple things like drawing and art, doodling and journaling. And that's where I started with Art for Wellness. And it started in lockdown, funnily enough. I set up a Facebook group, and it was a group where it was for members only. So it was a totally safe space. People could come in, they could interact, they could watch it. I used to share things like positive statements, the art that we did. Other people would share their art, and then encourage people to be able to comment and give feedback on other people's. And it was such a warm, lovely environment. And one thing that really surprised me is it grew to over 10,000 people in less than 6 months. And this was like, whoa, this is something that is needed out there. And it was worldwide as well, because it stretched out to Australia, to India, to America, all over the place. And it was a pure delight to have all these people involved, even if they were in the sidelines, just watching what was going on. I'd have people coming into the group down the line saying, watching what everybody's been done has given me the confidence to have a go and share. And it was then that I'd had a conversation with a friend who said, had I thought about going in business, which is when I set up Art for Wellness. So it started off with the Facebook group and the website. And in the first year, I was really fortunate to get funding, grant funding, to set up what I now call the free resource scheme, because it was so important to me that I could touch people out there that needed it the most. These people that may not have been able to afford to go to an art class or to a wellbeing activity, because as we know, wellbeing facilities are at a stretch, and there isn't always something out there that people can go into. So having a free resource meant that we got a library of resources, and I did ebooks and videos that people could download in their own time and have a go at simple painting, drawing, journaling, writing poetry, anything that they wanted to do. And this has proved to be really popular. And moving on from there, after we'd gone through lockdown, and then we were in a position that the world began to open up again, which was lovely. Because although we had a fantastic community online, it's the meeting people face to face that's so important. Those conversations that you have, when you can see somebody's face light up because they've experienced something new. So being able to go out and deliver face-to-face sessions in the community is an absolute joy. In fact, we've even had chance this year to do it with children as well as with adults. And what I would say is that it's not, there's no restrictions on age, there's no restrictions on abilities. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to know what you're doing. It's just relaxing, being in the moment, and having fun. In fact, the way that I teach, I do by a very simple guide of 3. And the 3 things are colour, shape, and imagination. Because those are the 3 things that you would need within yourself to start doing art. One of the simple ones that we do is called art in your hands. You just get your hand and draw around it, and you can colour it in, you can paint it, you can stick bits of paper on, you can do whatever you like. But if you think that art started in the cavemen days, when they would have just have berries or fruit that they put their hands in and put the pictures on the wall, and it was very much that the hand is a tool that everybody can use to create art. So we start off with doing something really simple, and we've gone out into the community, and we've done this in libraries and community centres, and we did it recently with the Learning Disability Group, where it was in the main library and people could come along, have a go at making the hand. And then we did a great big mural on the wall for everybody to put their hands on. And this was then put up in the library so that anybody coming in could actually see what people had done. And that is really good, a really good thing to do.
That's great. There's so much in there that I want to talk about. But the first thing that struck me when you were sharing your story and being in that art class as an adult, you used the phrase throwing paint around. And that phrase in itself feels so freeing. So I'm guessing that when you were allowed to do art, that you found a freedom that you hadn't felt for so long since that time in secondary school when you were told you
Yes.
couldn't do art. So can you explain a little bit how that finding that freedom and being able to do it changed how you showed up in the world?
It certainly did. All I did was put some old clothes on, put a canvas on an easel and splash the paint around. And it just felt that I was young and free. It felt like I was in a different world, that I could just express and do whatever I liked. And it made me feel that I didn't have any worries. I didn't have any cares other than just having fun.
So did you only then feel that way when you were in those classes, or did that bleed into the rest of your life and your relationships?
It did lead into the rest of my life, because it made me realize that I was suddenly a different person. I could embrace being myself and be able to talk about who I was and what I did and what I loved doing, and not be afraid anymore. I wasn't afraid to have conversations with people, to make mistakes, to say something wrong. It doesn't matter, as long as you have a go at being the best you. And it starts with little steps, little things at a time. Um, the first time I painted something and put it up on the wall, it felt really strange, thinking, oh, that's my art that I'm putting up there. But it's surprising when you get used to just putting your art up on the wall to have a look at, and you can walk past it every day and see it, how suddenly you get a pride in what you've done. Because in life, it's so easy to look at other people's work and see what they've done. And if it's a friend, you give them a compliment, you give them feedback, or whatever you'd want to call it. But when it's yourself, you tend to be self-critical. So you've got to learn to love what you're doing. And there's no such thing as bad art. In fact, one of the things that my art tutor said as an adult is that it's a happy accident. If you're painting a picture and you're doing a tree and the tree branches don't quite go how you wanted, it doesn't matter. You could come back to that tree and paint a few leaves on and make it look different, and it'll still look like a tree. It'll still look like your picture. And when we used to do the workshops online and we'd share our pictures, and you would all do the same scene. So there was one where there was a bridge with some trees behind, and yet everybody's picture was totally different because it was done in their style.
Mm-hmm.
And at first,
yeah, and
sorry.
I would just venture to say also through their eyes and their experience. So they might have seen the same image to inspire their picture, but because we all come at things from different angles, this is what I tell people with writing their story as well, is that we can experience the exact same event. Like 100 people could watch the same car accident, but those 100 people will have very different stories about it based on the angle they're seeing it from, based on whether they knew the participants or one of the participants, based on how anything that of the results might have triggered something from their own past or experience. So those stories change, so that it makes sense that the pictures, the ultimate finished works of art would be all different.
But yet they were all good in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and none are wrong.
No.
They're just through different filters.
Yeah,
And I
that's
love
right.
that because I grew up feeling like, oh, visual art is not my thing. Music, yes. Writing, yes. But not painting, not anything. I was like, I just can't replicate what I see in front of me. But the way that you talk about it makes it feel so freeing. I'm like, well, why can't I try?
Yeah. And when um when you've never had a go, I can understand that you might feel a bit reluctant to start, or you're not right sure, or you're staring at a blank piece of paper. And I'd just say, just get that paint and splash it. Just get that paint and let it drip down the paper. Just get that pen and scribble it across. It doesn't matter. It's being in that moment of just having a go.
Find that freedom in throwing paint around. I really
Yeah.
like that phrase. So tell me how, besides teaching these classes and helping free other people, how do you use that newly freed creativity and ability to do art whenever, wherever you feel like it? How do you use that in your life and how does it show up in how you show up in the world?
I guess I'm really passionate about nature and being in nature and going for walks. So wherever I go, I'm always taking photographs, and and that is another form of self-care to me. So I think I'm showing up by going out there and getting ideas and inspiration. But also when I'm actually talking to people, um, I've always got it in the back of my mind, and little things that I've learned along the way. It's helped me to be a better person as well, and to be more understanding of people do go through different situations in life, and but there's always a way forward. There's always a different way of looking at it, and sometimes you just need that hand to reach out, or just somebody to say, "I'm here to listen to you." So I think for me, it has definitely made me a different person. Yeah.
Right. Now, to change the subject just a little bit, I know that you are part of a collaborative book that is coming out, I believe, this week. We're recording a little bit before, but when this goes live, can you tell us about that and a little bit about your chapter or your portion of the book?
Of course, it's called Beyond the Ordinary, and the book itself is being wrote by Mandy Nicholson, and she invited 30 women to be involved in writing their own chapters and their own stories. And it's looking about the things that they've been through in life, the things that they've overcome, um, the challenges that, but writing it in their own words, in to tell their story, so that other people can see familiar things that might be going on in their life, or learning how you can overcome, how you can express yourself, how you can find yourself. So there's like all the women that are involved are all creative women, and it's an incredible book because it's about looking at each person's unique strengths, what they've been through, what they've learned, and what they've got to share with other people. And I'm really proud to say that I am one of the co-authors in the book. And in there, I will be sharing my story as well. And it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm so excited.
Well, we here at Epic Exchanges are huge supporters of this kind of book because we've produced two exactly like that, where it's people sharing their stories about overcoming or learning something because of what they've been through and trying to pass it on to inspire others and to let
Yeah.
others know that they are not alone. So I'm super excited that you've had this experience and that it's going to impact so many people when they get the book and read it. We will make sure to link it in our show notes when it comes out to make sure that people can check it out. But if people want to find out more about you or be encouraged by the freedom to do art their way, how can they find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I've got a website. I'm on Instagram. I'll certainly share all of the links so that people can come and get to know me a little bit better. It'd be great. It would be great. So
Perfect. And we'll make sure we share those links as well and connect with you so that people can find you easily. Well, thank you, Debbie, so much for being here and sharing your story. And one last question. If you could leave our listeners with one thing that you want them to remember, what would that be?
it would be, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something, because at the end of the day, they don't know the whole you. They don't know everything about you. Don't let that one person stop you.
And if someone says that you shouldn't do it anyway.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you, Kelly.